Today, we are talking about Gamma Level Mutants. Not to be confused with Gamma Mutates, who are humans mutated by the gamma radiations, Gamma Level Mutants are a class of mutants whose mutations make it difficult for them to pass as human, or blend in with regular society. Often their mutations can cause them physical pain when using them, which isn't a generalization but does affect several of the mutants that we're discussing today. We are counting down the top 10 Gamma Level Mutants, which, yes, is slightly subjective, but we've tried to keep strength, power, popularity, and abilities in mind when making our selections. So with that in mind, let's get to it. Starting us off in at number 10, BLOB. BLOB is one of the oldest foes of the X-Men, having first appeared in X-Men issue 3 in 1964. He's a great example of a Gamma Level mutant. While one could argue that he is just very obese looking, it's his mutation that makes him that way, and it's hard to not notice him in comparison to others. His powers relate to the mass, strength, resilience, and indestructibility of his body. The fat tissues in his skin are able to absorb impacts the likes of bullets, cannonballs, bazooka projectiles, and even torpedoes, and it's malleable, able to revert to its normal shape within seconds of impact or deformation. Blob skin cells are able to grow at an accelerated rate, able to grow and replace themselves at high speeds, which is pretty nifty. So now let's move on to a character that Blob is no stranger to. In our number 9 spot, Toad. So we don't often talk about Toad on this channel, so it's kinda nice to include him on a list. Toad was introduced into Marvel's panels shortly after his Brotherhood peer Blob was, a whole issue afterwards actually, in X-Men issue 4 in 1964. Toad, aka Mortimer Toynbee, has a toad-like appearance, hence the name. He's capable of superhuman leaping, has a prehensile tongue that can extend up to 30 feet in length, has a superhuman respiratory system and acidic saliva, which are just a few of his talents thanks to his mutation. Generally, he's depicted as a hunchback, but many variations of the character give him a greenish skin tone and other amphibian-like attributes. He's also nearsighted and has an aversion to light, which is why he often wears light-filtering goggles. He also has an offensive odor in most depictions of his character thanks to his skin secreting unusual chemicals. Up next, number 8, MARROW. MARROW first hit the scene in Cable issue 15 in 1994, created by Jeff Loeb and David Brewer. She is a mutant who, at a young age, was taken in by the Morlocks, a group of outcast mutants who live in an underground society due to their inability to pass as human in normal society. Eventually, MARROW, whose mutation causes her to grow bones out of her skin, which can be removed in combat, would join up with the X-Men, and these days is usually associated with the Weapon X group. Now, initially, she was unable to control her skeletal structure growths, but after an enhancement by a Skrull medical facility, she can control it a bit better, but often the enhancements that she receives fail her. Moving on to number 7, Johnny D. Johnny D may be a less notable name on our list, but his mutation is definitely one that falls into the category of Gamma. Johnny, who first appeared in Son of M issue 1 back in 2006, has a sentient maw with small appendages that protrude from his chest. This maw produces voodoo dolls for him after he gives it a DNA sample of his targeted foe. For example, a piece of hair. He puts this sample in the maw's mouth, then it spits out a tiny shell that contains a miniature naked replica of the person whose DNA it just consumed. Johnny can then use this tiny voodoo doll to manipulate that individual, forcing them to do or say as he pleases. Now, unlike some of the other mutants on our list, Johnny doesn't feel pain from his mutation if it's damaged. In Son of M issue 1, one of the creature's tentacles were slashed off and it didn't hurt him. But they do share the same nervous system, and that wound actually left them both on the verge of death despite Johnny not feeling it. In at 6, Mercury. Mercury is Cecily Kincaid, a mutant who was introduced to us in 2003 in New Mutants Volume 2, Issue 2. Her mutation gives her a malleable biomercury form. Cecily's body is composed of a non-toxic liquid mercury that she can alter in multiple different ways. She can collapse into a featureless mass, mold herself into different forms, and even create and extend weapons like blades from her body mass. She isn't a carbon-based life form, therefore doesn't need to eat or breathe like other humans, and she can cling to solid surfaces thanks to her body having molecular adhesion properties. And sometimes she just eats for fun to fit in. Don't blame her. In at 5, Maggot. It's hard to not notice Maggot, even when he's not using his powers. Maggot is a mutant named Japheth, whose digestive system is made up of 2 enormous sentient slugs. Yeah. These techno-organic slugs, which is where he gets his codename from, exit his body. They can devour any form of matter for sustenance at a ridiculously fast speed, might I add, and then return to Maggot's body to give him said sustenance. The bonus is that depending on the matter that they devour, Maggot can gain additional superpowers, like super strength or durability, based on the properties of what his slugs, who he's named Eenie and Meenie, consume. I also like that he just kind of stands around holding them like pets often. It's kind of cute. Despite them, you know, being slugs. well. And at number 4, Darwin. Darwin has an incredibly fascinating mutation. He continuously evolves based on his surroundings. He has an extremely malleable physiology, with something called instantaneous adaptation. This is a self-protection power of sorts that allows Darwin to adapt to any situation that he's in. It is a reactive mutation that adjusts to his environment. For example, he's been known to grow gills, gain night vision, gain fireproof skin, and even become pure energy. Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of control over this though. His powers sometimes have unwanted effects in terms of what his body deems is the most suitable adaptation, and sometimes he's not down for those effects. For example, when he was facing off against the Hulk, his body just teleported him away rather than continue the confrontation. His body was literally like, nah, I'm not gonna give you extra strength to fight the Hulk, you need to get the fuck out of here. Moving on to 3, Blink. We are looking specifically at the Blink of Earth 295 here, the Age of Apocalypse timeline. So, Blink is most well known for her involvement with the Exiles, and she's got pink skin and green eyes, making her someone who really stands out in a crowd. Blink, aka Clarice Ferguson, is the leader of the Exiles, a group of superheroes tasked with correcting problems in various alternate universes, who jump around in the Marvel multiverse. Her mutation specifically allows her to create portals, and something called teleportation javelins, which she uses as projectiles, and they teleport whatever object or person they touch. We actually did a whole list about her powers, which is super dope, so be sure to head on over to her channel afterwards and check it out if you want to learn more about Blink. She's definitely an interesting character. Moving on to our number 2 spot, Beast. Hank McCoy is a man of many talents. One of the OG X-Men, Beast aka Hank McCoy, was created in 1963, first appearing in X-Men issue 1. Now initially, Hank was introduced as a mutant who possessed ape-like superhuman traits, and had oversized hands and feet, and also that genius level intellect that continues to serve him to this day. Dude is one of the 8 smartest people in the world, and he's a world-renowned biochemist and a medical genius who cured the legacy virus. Yeah. Anyway, the physicality changed over time, and by New X-Men issue 114, Beast had permanent animalistic physical characteristics, including the blue fur that covers his entire body. This is considered a secondary mutation, which changed his more ape-like features into more cat-like ones. Personality roughly stayed the same though. And finally, last but not least, in at number 1, NIGHTCRAWLER. NIGHTCRAWLER is the most obvious choice on our list, and one of the most well-known and liked X-Men in general. Just like our previous number, he is unmistakably blue. NIGHTCRAWLER, aka Kurt Wagner, is another teleporter, and while that's his most famous power, he's arguably more memorable for his blue devilish appearance. He's got indigo velvety fur, which helps him with camouflaging in the shadows, 3-fingered hands, yellow eyes, a prehensile tail, and pointed ears. And he also only has 2 toes on each foot. And some claws too, so hard to not spot him. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other Gamma Level mutants can you think of? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts and feels. If you dug this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, share it with a friend, and, you know, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd. Watch some more of our videos, hang out with us some more. We'd love it if you did. In the meantime, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next one.